What's up guys, Kyle Bradshaw from MotoCity, and today we're testing or demo riding the Honda 1100 Rebel. Now this has Honda's revolutionary DCT transmission. That's this guy right down here. It's called the dual clutch transmission. What happens on this motor is each gear, all the odd gears are run on one clutch and all the even gears are run on another. So instead of like a quick shifter where you shift the gears, it pauses the motor, it shifts the gear, and then it goes back on, this thing already has the next gear spooled up, so it just slides into the next gear. Super smooth, super seamless. Anyhow, we're gonna get this bike out there on the road, we're gonna put it through its paces, and we're gonna let you know exactly how this thing feels. Now, before we get out there on the road, let's run through each of the modes and buttons and exactly how the electronics on this bike works. So let's get into it.
Okay, so we brought out the Rebel 1100 DCT for you guys to demo. If you didn't see the modes when we were going over it, it's super simple, really intuitive to use. But what we're really trying to do is just raise the awareness of DCT in general. It's actually a high performance system with a dual clutch transmission that shifts, uses a different clutch for each gear. So the even and odd gears shift on a different clutch, which makes the shifting instantaneous and extremely smooth. Even in high revving and cornering situations, it always matches the RPM to relieve any kind of shift shock or negative feedback to the rider. It's extremely smooth riding, shifting machine that's actually very high performance. And then with that, there's on this model, and the same with the Goldwing and the NC750X, they have 4 different ride modes, and this one's really easy to use. So when you're on the screen here, you have this little cursor. When you hit the mode button, it switches between the different things, and then you can hit the select button. You got your tripometer, average speed, and then you hit the mode button again, and then it goes up, the cursor moves up to where you can select the different programs. So right now I've been riding it in sport mode, so it gives you the most power, minimal traction control, and kind of middle of the road engine braking. When you go to standard, it just places everything kind of middle of the road for power, traction, and engine braking. And when you go to the rain mode, it gives you minimal power, maximum traction control, and minimal engine braking. And then the last mode is the user mode. And in this mode, you can hold the mode button down again till it starts flashing. And then you can actually use the select buttons here to dial up or dial down whatever your preferences are. You can preset it. So if you want maximum power, hit mode again, it goes to the next one. You can do maximum traction control, maximum engine braking, or lower it all the way down. And then the final mode is this D mode, and the D is on there automatically when it's in gear. But on this one, the user mode, you can select the shift points. So when it's on the minimal shift points, it shifts really quickly at super low RPMs for highest, for economy, gas mileage. Forgivability, I guess, for maybe a new rider, and then you can adjust that up. So middle of the road, it holds the gear a little longer at a little bit higher RPMs, but still shifts pretty quickly and at lower RPMs. And then you can maximize it. And it's this way in the sport mode too. It's sport mode is like I showed you: maximum power, minimal traction, medium engine braking, and then highest revving in the automatic mode between gears. And then on the left handlebar here, you have your downshift and upshift, or your thumb and index finger. You can use that in fully automatic mode, and I use that all the time on the freeway to downshift real quick a couple gears. And like I said, it's extremely smooth. So if you're in traffic and you see an opening in the left lane and you want to pass some cars or a truck, you can just drop it down 2 gears real fast and then get on the gas. And even in full throttle, you can change gears, and because it shifts on a different clutch, it's not disengaging and engaging the next gear. It's instantaneously, because every other gear is on a different clutch, like I said. And over here we also have cruise control, kind of like the Goldwing, and then the switch to adjust up or down your speed, the neutral button, the drive button, and then the ride manual is this button here. So when you first start it up and you click D, it puts it into automatic mode. Then you can push this gray button and it puts it into manual mode, and that's pure manual. That's when you have to shift. One thing I warn everybody who's experiencing the DCT for the first time, that Once you put it in gear, it's in gear. There's no manual clutch to hold. So if you try to rev it at a stoplight, it's going to roll on you. So you want to be aware of that. So if you want to rev it, you can always put it into neutral manually. And when you stop the bike, if you turn it off or if you just put the kickstand down while it's running, the engine will die and it always goes back to neutral. So every time you start it, you have to put it in gear. And for that reason, you have a parking brake here. You just pull up and it locks it. So if you're on an incline, it won't roll off the stand because it's always in neutral. And there's a little button on the side. You just pull up and it releases it. Very simple. And then we have our flashers right up here, out of the way, but in a convenient spot so you can get to it if you need it. And the blinkers, you always have to push in the center too. They're not self-canceling. Had that question on this model a lot. Overall, it's a super sporty cruiser. It uses the same engine platform as the Africa Twin. So for a cruiser, it's actually very high revving, very sporty riding bike. And with that automatic dual clutch, you can go super slow speeds in the parking lot. I've had it as low as 1 mile an hour, balancing it as much as I could at that speed. And it doesn't lurch, it doesn't stall. There's no clutch to have to throttle. It does it all automatically. The system always keeps you in the perfect RPM range for the power band for optimum performance and riding. And then again, if you need more power on the fly, you can always downshift on the go, no matter what mode it's in. But that's basically it. I think this is the 8th generation of this, and it's by far the smoothest that I've experienced. But it's a great bike. If you get somebody in at, an adult, they don't have that much experience. This thing is so intuitive and so forgiving and easy to ride that anybody can get into it. And I think a lot of people might come in and want a 300 or 500, but they might outgrow it right away. And this is something you'll grow into, and it's just as easy to ride. It's got a very low seat height. It's only 27.5 inches. It doesn't handle and feel like a cruiser. Your feet aren't way out and your hands aren't way up. It's a bobber style. So it handles like a sport bike. It has your hands forward like a sport bike more, or a standard. On the freeway, being naked, it's fairly aerodynamic as it is. And they make a really nice sport windshield that goes right into that same spot. Plus it rides so cool, with the open engine and liquid cooled, you really feel no heat from the engine at all. I felt more heat from ambient temperature than I did coming off the engine itself. So it's very comfortable to ride there. Like a lot of cruisers, run really hot and they kind of burn your legs. And like I said, I'm a sport bike guy. And as you know, with those, the fairings holding the heat and it channels it all right onto your thighs and your knees and stuff. And I grew up in California, and that's where I did all my riding and track riding and stuff too. And when you're wearing full leathers and stuff, it just cooks you sometimes, But yeah, I don't feel that at all from this bike. We can talk about it all day, but until somebody rides it, and that's why we're doing this, trying to raise the awareness of it. I want an Africa Twin myself. I've been playing around with getting one for a couple of years now. And initially, I'm such a traditionalist with motorcycles, I wanted to get the manual, but I think I'm absolutely going to get the DCT now after experiencing this. And some of the videos I've seen where guys demonstrate, they go through super technical rocky terrains on the manual first and they're foot dabbing, because that's the thing, people that ride it are sold on it.